my full-time job became managing Puff, and I was doing other things. So even when I let Puff go, for the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem, because I didn't do it to hurt him, but I knew it was time for him to grow, and the only way he could grow was if he was going to have the same kind of corporate conversations that I was subjected to, and then he would understand what he could and could not do.
You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
3 minutes ago, Gene Deal released another volatile series of assertions. And once more, the dialogue surrounding Sean Diddy Combs is becoming noisier, broader, and more distressing for the show business sector. Gene Deal is not an arbitrary commentator online. He previously served as Diddy's individual security officer during the Bad Boy Records period, positioned near enough to observe how authority truly shifted behind the curtains. Currently, he asserts the populace merely witnessed the exterior rendition of Diddy, whereas the authentic narrative included advisors, acquired conduct, and a complete profession that ignored the situation. Deal maintains Diddy did not transform into who he became by chance. He remarks the conduct individuals are currently interrogating was patterned, standardized, and even compensated early in Diddy's profession. From Uptown Records to Bad Boy's ascent, Deal depicts a scenario of impact, drive, and ethical concession. This discussion arrives following Diddy's October 2025 judgment and 50-month penalty, which numerous people now view as validation that speculations once murmured are ultimately being addressed earnestly. What renders this instance distinct is that Deal is not merely discussing Diddy. He is identifying structures, advisors, famous figures, and societal instances that defined an epoch. He is also denouncing what he suspects has been deliberately excluded from significant non-fiction films, particularly regarding obligation, transparency, and deceased individuals. This is not concerning rumors. It is regarding authority, concealment, and how extensively impact can expand before the reality arrives.
Gene Deal, let's get right into it. Diddy, he got indicted. You called it, man. A few weeks ago, you was on the platform and you said that he was going to get arrested in September.
Yeah, man. Anybody who in law enforcement or people know the law, when Homeland Security ran up into his house, people will tell you, or people knew that it was just a matter of time that they was going to indict him and bring him in to see the judge, bro. It was just a matter of time. I just figured out with the grand jury and their different sessions and stuff like that, and then what one of the witnesses told me, I just figured it out that it was going to be around September that they were going to bring him in, bro. People might not understand. It's difficult when you see a brother that has so much promise become an icon as far as in the music business and stuff that he did, to turn around and just tear his whole life down. But it's all because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't, he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do without, and you never be willing to do anything to get where you want to be at. You got to have principles, you got to have morals, you got to keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window. You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You gotta know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that Gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started going, when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. Then he started doing things to people, you understand, that he learned. That's a learned behavior, bruh. Now, I'm not saying that he may have been doing a couple of things here and there with women, stuff like that in New York, but the things that they're talking about that he was doing, bringing in prostitutes to have sex with his girl and all that stuff like that, that was some crazy stuff to me, man. So I'm just looking at this whole thing, man, and you had asked me, and we don't have these conversations like most people do. We're gonna go back and you gonna tell me what, we're gonna talk about this. You said, I'm gonna ask you how you feel.
Gene Deal's primary assertion is straightforward yet profound. He maintains Diddy acquired his conduct by observing influential males superior to him. Based on Deal, when Diddy commenced at Uptown Records beneath Andre Harrell, he was silent, perceptive, and ambitious. Deal portrays him as a lizard, an individual monitoring everything, soaking up how authority functioned. Subsequently, when Diddy relocated to Los Angeles and Miami, Deal remarks that the lizard transformed into a monster.
Like, I had an artist in the building, right? Because Puff, as an executive, he really is a very artistic guy. He can make videos, he could style. So I started to branch out in the movies and the television. So then Puff wouldn't really listen to anybody but me. So my full-time job became managing Puff. And I was doing other things. So even when I let Puff go, for the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem. Because I didn't do it to hurt him, but I knew it was time for him to grow. And the only way he could grow was if he was going to have the same kind of corporate conversations that I was subjected to. And then he would understand what he could and could not do. And the final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because they didn't like the subject matter, and they wanted me to tell him he's got to change his tone. And it wasn't up to me, I felt, to tell a generation what they could and could not do artistically. So I knew it wasn't going to work because he was coming from a new space and a new era. The Dr. Dre Chronic album that came out, and that was a major influence over music. So whereas I had Heavy D, who was more like a happy, female-loving, uplifting kind of celebratory artist, Puff's Heavy D was Biggie Smalls. And Biggie Smalls was more like in the streets and telling street stories, and he told them well.
And that was a transition in hip-hop.
And big in New York.
For
New York. And Biggie Smalls ended up becoming my favorite rapper of all time. But I didn't want to sit there and be the one confining Puff because the corporation was telling me to do that. I'm not built that way. So I told Puff he needs to go and create his own opportunity. You red hot. I'm really letting you go so you could get rich.
And he did, and you guys together,
Deal maintains that personalities such as Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, and Clive Davis established settings where doubtful conduct was standardized. He asserts these individuals existed without transparency, and Diddy adhered to that framework. Deal states he individually observed instances that rendered him uneasy, matters he currently suspects mold Diddy's perspective regarding dominance, extravagance, and privilege.
I seen Puff on camera smoking a cigarette, and I said, that's not the Puff that I know. to smoke a cigarette, I believe that opioids addiction changed his whole life and changed who he was. He's quietly an addict. So is he responsible for some of the shit that he did? Because of his addiction, yes, he is. But it has a lot to do with drugs, bruh. And that brother might need some help.
Well, do you see any legal problems coming from any of this?
It's based on what they find in discovery. We know that we have people that's putting a civil suit against them. We know there's people that's putting a civil suit against them. But in that civil suit, if they find something criminal, then there might be a prosecutor who say, yo, listen to me. I want to bring this in.
He asserts that narcotics consumption, abuse of females, and predatory professional strategies were regarded as standard behind private entrances. Based on Deal, once Diddy attained authentic authority, he no longer imitated silently, he intensified. Secret assemblies turned more radical. Allegiance was mandated. Quietude was compensated. Deal maintains that this provides no justification for Diddy's deeds. Rather, he remarks it clarifies how unmonitored dominance replicates itself. In his perspective, Diddy is accountable for his selections, yet the atmosphere that mold him divides the fault. Now that Diddy has been found guilty, Deal states the sector can no longer simulate that this conduct emerged from nowhere. Someone instructed it, someone permitted it, and numerous individuals profited from remaining mute. One of the most agonizing instances Gene Deal re-examines is the 1991 City College Philanthropy Hoops contest. 9 individuals perished in a crush, encompassing adolescents. Deal remarks this occurrence should never be handled as a minor detail. According to him, the catastrophe symbolizes early indicators of carelessness, vanity, and defective judgment that trailed Diddy across his vocation. Deal maintains his protection squad was dismissed the evening prior to the function. He alleges that emergency exits were managed poorly during the turmoil and that finances turned into a preference over security. These assertions have spread for decades, yet Deal contends they are consistently being bypassed in primary media accounts. This is the reason he denounces 50 Cent's Netflix film debuted in December 2025. Deal states it reused superficial data while sidestepping deeper transparency. He maintains the film omitted crucial identities, complete chronologies, and pre-detention recordings that might have altered communal perception.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you know, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
and what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegations.
I think that, you know, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, you know, when his life is on the line? So I think that, you know, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, you know, perhaps how some of these tactics, you know, how they really came to present themselves, you know, during the trial.
You show that, his abilities, his early rise. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures. And you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because, you know, victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, you know, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, you know, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story.
Yeah, and the film takes us way behind the PR or propaganda machine. You see Diddy the day he's finding out about new suits against him while he's in New York preparing for a possible criminal arrest. This is another moment from the video that 50 said he won't tell us where he got it.
Deal additionally discloses he declined to take part without suitable reimbursement for himself and several others he perceived as vital contributors. When his conditions were turned down, he departed. He maintains this resulted in a more polished, cautious rendition of the narrative being shared. For Deal, the issue is not finances. It is chronicles being modified. He remarks when non-fiction films bypass distressing realities, they shield structures instead of revealing them. Cat Williams' 2024 Club Shay Shay dialogue currently appears visionary to numerous individuals.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Gene Deal associates Williams' jests and cautions with what subsequently transpired surrounding Diddy. Williams never explicitly indicted the majority of individuals he identified, yet he delivered what he labeled as strikes, remarks saturated with suggestion. Identities such as Jay-Z, Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, and others were cited not as offenders, but as figures who purportedly profited from closeness, quietude, or professional shielding. Williams hinted that numerous vacations were elevated through associations linked back to Diddy's authority. Deal backs this concept warily. He states he is unable to verify misconduct by these personalities and no accusations exist as of January 2026, yet he maintains many participated in assemblies, received assistance, or refrained from vocalizing when they ought to have. The most terrifying assertion concerns archives. Both Deal and Williams imply that terror, rather than faithfulness, maintained individuals' silence, whether genuine or overstated. The concept of advantage through quietude altered how spectators perceive star-studded companionships. Now that Diddy has been penalized, Deal suspects more individuals are anxious. Not because they perpetrated felonies, but because they understand what they disregarded. And in the present atmosphere, silence can resemble culpability. Gene Deal constantly reverts to a single subject. Diddy ascended, yet many surrounding him collapsed. He identifies performers like Craig Mack and Black Rob as instances of skill that was utilized, cast aside, and disregarded. He also re-examines the passing of Biggie Smalls, implying that defective choices, vanity, and unsettled rivalries contributed to establishing lethal settings. Deal also discusses Anthony Wolf Jones, asserting monetary disagreements and insolence resulted in permanent repercussions. Once more, these are contentions, not established realities, yet Deal structures them as tendencies rather than separate occurrences.
Life story, bro. I tried to stop these people from going to the party. It was his decision. You understand? That cost that kid his life. Even when I tried to ride on the side of the fucking truck, he gonna tell me, yo, Gene, if you don't get in this car, you ain't gonna never work again for Bad Boy. I should have said, F Bad Boy, and did what I knew to do. You understand? That kid lost his life. It wasn't my watch, but I was there. He had his own bodyguards, but I still was there. I knew something was gonna go down. I was willing to ride on the side of the damn car so I could save this kid's life. Now, my man go to him, ASAP Ferg's father. He goes to him. Yo, Puff, blase, whoop-de-whoop. I gotta have this, or these guys it's gonna be a problem in the street. Here go this. You can use this until I can get it back to him. This nigga said, what? I can't do that. Understandable, whatever the situation was. My man died the day after my birthday. turns around, tell Wolf, I'm gonna give you your $300,000. Wolf is the one who brought me back into Bad Boy, or brought me back into Bad Boy, because I was there before Wolf himself. Wolf's mother let me hear something that the what they call it, the drug enforcement, the prosecutor from Atlanta, that Puff told Meech, go ahead and do what you gotta do, when him and Wolf and them was beefing outside. I heard Wolf say out of his mouth, I'ma show you them niggas ain't that. I knew he was building up the atmosphere between Meech and Wolf to go at it. Do you hear me? Wolf get killed by some kids from BMF. Actually, the dude that he put down with BMF. This nigga brags about cussing Wolf's mother out. And I'm gonna call his name out. He bragged to his cousin, Ak. So you niggas in New York, if y'all don't believe what I'm saying, ask Ak. If Wolf was alive, the way he loved his mother, we wouldn't be talking about Diddy today. I say this dude, even after all that, I still say this nigga.
Based on his account, Diddy favored reputation and dominance over individuals. Once a person ceased being beneficial, they were discarded. This, Deal maintains, is the authentic heritage individuals refrain from debating. With Diddy presently completing his term, Deal remarks the dialogue ought not to conclude with retribution. It should expand to contemplation. Who profited? Who remained mute? And who endured the consequences? As Gene Deal's assertions persist in spreading, interest has transitioned to the broader assembly of famous figures frequently connected straight or circuitously to Diddy's confidential assemblies. Across the decades, these functions have been portrayed not as straightforward festivities, but as restricted entry environments where authority, impact, and possibility discreetly blended.
He got off. See, I didn't talk about Tyler Perry. I didn't really talk about Puffy. It's some stuff I'd be like, okay, let me see what happened with this. Cause I don't want to be one of them people who say this about somebody and then have to eat crow later on.
Right.
Let me give you some examples. There was something going on when we had that discussion about Chris Webber.
Right.
I didn't say much about Chris Webber. I talked about fucking people's wives.
Right.
Then people were saying Corey said something about Chris Webber.
Right.
And I didn't really say nothing about Chris Webber like that except giving praise. Because I only know Chris Webber from hooping. And I used to hoop. So I look up to them guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Chris Webber never said I didn't f that nigga away.
Right.
There's things in the news about Tyler Perry.
I'm not gay no more.
I want to tell Tyler Perry this. I would love to come work for you, Tyler Perry.
Who's next? Y'all don't see the lineup?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next. Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
We need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it.
I'm shutting down the idea of after parties. No after parties tonight, okay? None. Take your asses home after this. That's why I did it on a Monday. I did it on a Monday. People got to go to work tomorrow. No after parties. That's where get slippery at them after parties. Okay? We're learning a lot about people, ain't we? We're learning a lot.
Honestly, it looked to me like you could hear some laughter. There was laughter. Yeah. It was funny, but it's like people were on camera and didn't want to seem like they were laughing.
BET Awards positions themselves as the culture's biggest night, and once upon a time, Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know,
right.
His after parties, were a part of the BET experience. So, life comes at you fast, but, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say, the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still, nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at him. There were some icon awards.
Personalities such as Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry, Ludacris, Steve Harvey, and additional individuals have been cited in communal discourse, not due to established felonies, but due to their closeness to Diddy during vital periods in their vacations. Certain detractors maintain that participation itself turned into a sort of unrecorded agreement. Attend, remain mute, and opportunities emerge. Gene Deal does not indict these persons of misconduct, yet he implies numerous people profited from a setting where challenging authority was inhibited. Cat Williams characterized these associations as calculated, suggesting that professional progress frequently trailed faithfulness rather than excellence. The speculations encompassing concealed lenses, confidential archives, and advantage have merely heightened distrust, even without proof being made communal. In this climate, quietude turned into legal tender. For some, preserving separation openly while staying linked secretly was perceived as endurance. Others purportedly separated themselves only after Diddy's judicial hardships turned into something certain. As of January 2026, none of these stars encounter accusations connected to Diddy's functions, and all contentions stay unverified. Nevertheless, communal viewpoint has transitioned. Supporters are currently revisiting vintage conversations, jests, and partnerships with a distinct perspective, speculating whether achievement was acquired strictly through ability or discreetly aided by nearness to authority. Ultimately, the dispute is less regarding what transpired at these assemblies and more regarding what individuals were prepared to overlook to shield their position in the sector.
Understand, for the atmosphere that he put those kids in, you got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenbaum, who was at the City College situation. You understand? When it was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. You know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the steps. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked the door on the kids, and all those kids lost their life. Had she not locked those doors, not one kid would have lost their life. Not one kid would have lost their life. And that's what happened. I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
You personally, you think they got tapes?
Well, my personal opinion that if Lil Rob could be trusted and his statements are true, they got him. They got tapes and stuff.
Gene Deal's communication is not merely concerning Diddy. It is regarding how authority functions when nobody contests it. Diddy's 2025 judgment concluded one phase, yet it initiated numerous distressing inquiries about guidance, quietude, and transparency in show business. Deal maintains that retribution operates sluggishly but exhaustively. Vacations ascend, reality lingers, and ultimately the bygone era arrives. The inquiry currently is straightforward. How many individuals understood more than they acknowledged? And how many narratives are still lingering to be shared? Inform us regarding your perspective in the remarks underneath. If you enjoy this production, press that membership icon so that you never overlook any fresh recordings. And until then, family, remain authentic.